The Arizona frontier in 1889 was a land of stark beauty and unrelenting harshness, where the sun seared the earth into cracked clay and the nights brought a bone-deep chill. Martha Sullivan, a widow at 25, had learned to navigate its cruelties. 5 years earlier, she had left the cobblestone streets of Boston, swept away by her husband Jacob's dreams of gold and glory. He was a lanky man with a curling mustache and a heart full of hope, but the frontier delivered only hardship. Their cabin, a humble structure of adobe and timber near the Gila River, stood isolated, far from the bustle of Tucson or Tombstone. Jacob's death from typhoid came swiftly, coughing 1 week, gone the next, buried under a crude cross behind the cabin. Martha was left with a few scrawny cattle, a vegetable patch that barely yielded, and a heart heavy with grief. She had considered selling the land and returning east, but pride and the fear of admitting defeat kept her rooted. That night, the sky brewed a storm like a warning from the heavens. Dark clouds rolled in from the west, swallowing the stars. Thunder growled, growing louder until it shook the ground. Rain began as a patter, then escalated to a torrent, hammering the tin roof and seeping through cracks in the walls. Martha sat by the hearth, knitting to steady her trembling hands, the fire casting flickering shadows across the room. A sudden crash outside, not thunder, but something closer, like splintering wood, jerked her upright. Her pulse raced. Bandits roamed these parts, and whispers of Apache raids haunted the saloons. She grabbed Jacob's rifle from above the mantel, her fingers clumsy. She had fired it once, at a rattlesnake, and missed. Creeping to the window, she peered into the rain-soaked darkness but saw nothing. The door exploded inward, hinges groaning as a gust propelled it against the wall. A man stood in the threshold, his silhouette tall and imposing, water streaming from his broad shoulders. Lightning flashed, revealing a face both fierce and striking, high cheekbones, eyes black as obsidian, long hair tied back with a leather thong. He wore buckskin leggings, a fringed shirt adorned with beads, and moccasins caked with mud. A tomahawk hung at his belt, its edge glinting in the firelight. "Get out!" Martha shouted, leveling the rifle, her voice trembling but defiant. "This is my land." The man stepped forward, unfazed by the weapon. His presence filled the room, carrying the scent of earth and smoke. "Woman, you are alone," he said, his English rough but clear, laced with an accent like rolling river stones. "Danger comes. White men with guns. They take your land. Come with me." Her finger tightened on the trigger, but doubt flickered. White men? Claim jumpers? Jacob had mentioned disputes over water rights with neighbors. Before she could decide, he moved like a shadow, wrenching the rifle from her grasp and tossing it to the floor. His hand clamped over her mouth, stifling her scream, as his other arm encircled her waist like iron. "No noise," he whispered, dragging her into the storm. Rain lashed her face, soaking her nightdress as he bound her wrists with a strip of hide and hoisted her onto a paint horse. He mounted behind her, his body a shield against the wind, and spurred the animal into the night. The cabin vanished in the downpour, her screams swallowed by the gale. Who was this man? An Apache, surely. Tales of Geronimo's band, still evading capture, filled her with dread. Was she to be a hostage? A sacrifice? Terror clawed her chest as they galloped through the tempest, hooves pounding the muddied trail. The ride stretched into hours, a blur of exhaustion and cold. When the storm broke at dawn, the sky bloomed with hues of pink and gold, revealing a rugged landscape of saguaros and rocky outcrops. They had ascended into the Superstition Mountains, a maze of canyons and peaks where white men rarely ventured. The warrior halted by a hidden spring, dismounting and pulling her down with him. He untied her hands, offering water from a gourd. "Drink. Long way." She slapped it away, her dress torn and sodden. "Who are you? Why have you taken me?" He regarded her steadily, his eyes intense but not cruel. I am Marcus Redhawk, of the Chiricahua Apache. Your man is gone. Raiders come, white men, bad ones. They kill for land. I see them near your home. You die if stay. Raiders? Her voice wavered. You're lying. You kidnapped me. Not kidnap. Save. He pointed to the horizon, where a faint curl of smoke rose, her cabin, burning. They destroy now. Doubt gnawed at her. Jacob had warned of greedy settlers eyeing their water source. Could Marcus be telling the truth? She studied him, perhaps 30, his face chiseled with the lines of a hard life, a scar tracing his jaw. His movements were fluid, like a predator in his element, yet his gaze held no malice, only resolve. He built a small fire, roasting strips of dried meat, and offered her some. Hunger overpowered suspicion. She ate warily, watching him closely. They continued their journey, climbing higher into the mountains. Martha's body ached from the saddle, her mind racing with escape plans, but the terrain was treacherous, cliffs dropped sheer, paths narrowed to mere ledges. By evening, they reached a hidden camp, a cluster of about 50 Apache in a verdant valley. Teepees of hide blended with the rocks, women tended fires, and children played under watchful eyes. Warriors sharpened arrows, their bodies painted for hunts or defense. An older woman, her face weathered like desert stone, approached. Silent Willow, as Martha later learned, spoke no English but offered a deerskin dress and a bowl of stew with kind gestures. Martha was not chained but watched, expected to contribute. Silent Willow taught her to grind corn and weave baskets, communicating through mime and patience. Marcus was often absent, hunting or scouting, but when present, he took her under his wing. See this track? He said one morning, pointing to faint indentations in the dirt. Deer. Fresh. We follow. She trailed him reluctantly, learning to move silently, to spot edible plants like mesquite pods and yucca fruit. Why teach me? She asked, brushing sweat from her brow. You weak now, he replied. Become strong, maybe live. His proximity unsettled her. He was handsome in a rugged way, muscles honed by the wild, eyes that seemed to pierce her defenses. One evening, as they sat by the camp's fire, he shared his story. My wife, Little Dove, died 2 winters ago. Soldiers burn village, she catch fever. No medicine. I vow protect what left. Martha's heart softened. My Jacob, typhoid took him. He was a good man, but his dreams were too big. Left me nothing but debt. Loss same for all, Marcus said, his voice low. Pain make us kin. The camp revealed a community bound by tradition. Nights brought dances under the moon, stories of Coyote the trickster, rituals honoring the spirits of the earth. Martha felt a pull, a contrast to her lonely homestead. But homesickness lingered, she missed books, the scent of tea, the chatter of civilization. Yet the Apache's resilience fascinated her. They were hunted, their lands stolen, yet they thrived in this harsh world. A rival emerged in Black Wolf, a young warrior with a lean frame and eyes like burning coals. He resented Marcus's attention to the white woman, calling her a curse in council. She brings soldiers, he spat, his voice echoing in the firelit gathering. Marcus stood firm. She learns our ways. She stays. Black Wolf's hostility festered. During a hunt, he sabotaged Martha's saddle, loosening a strap. Her horse bucked on a narrow trail, throwing her to the ground. Pain shot through her ankle as she landed hard. Marcus was at her side in an instant, his face dark with fury. He carried her back to camp, confronting Black Wolf before the elders. Fists flew, blood spilled, until Silent Willow stepped between them. Black Wolf was banished for a moon, his glare promising retribution. The incident drew Martha and Marcus closer. Nursing her ankle in his teepee, he massaged it gently, his calloused hands warm against her skin. "You could have died," he said, his voice thick. "Thanks to you, I didn't," she replied, her breath catching. Their first spark of intimacy came during another storm, rain drumming the teepee. Marcus entered, drenched from guard duty, his shirt clinging to his chest. "You fear thunder?" he asked, noticing her tense shoulders. "Not anymore," she lied, shivering. He draped a blanket around her, his touch lingering. Their eyes met, and the air crackled with unspoken tension. He pulled away, but the seed was planted. Days later, by a waterfall, the spray misting the air, he took her hand. "Martha, my heart sees you." She hesitated, then leaned in. Their kiss was tentative, then fierce, a collision of fear and desire. That night, in the privacy of his teepee, passion overtook them, bodies exploring, whispers in the dark. It was wrong by every standard she knew, yet right in this wild place. Guilt over Jacob's memory lingered, but Marcus's touch burned it away. Life in the camp settled into a rhythm. Martha learned the Apache tongue, halting at first, guided by silent Willow's patient nods. She joined women in tanning hides, her hands growing calloused. Children trailed her, curious about her pale skin, calling her "white bird." Marcus taught her to shoot a bow, his hands steadying hers, their laughter mingling. But danger loomed. Scouts reported U.S. cavalry patrols, led by Captain Elias Thorne, a veteran with a scarred face and a vendetta. Years ago, Marcus's arrow had taken Thorne's left eye in a skirmish. Now, rumors of a white woman among the Apache, spread by a trader who glimpsed Martha, spurred a manhunt. The council convened under starlight. "The woman brings death," an elder declared, his voice heavy. "Send her back." Marcus rose, his jaw set. "She is my wife in spirit. We fight together." Martha, eavesdropping behind a teepee, felt her heart twist. Return to civilization, to a world that felt foreign now? Or stay in this wild freedom, with a man who stirred her soul? The decision was forced at dawn, when Thorne's men attacked. Gunshots shattered the peace, teepees caught fire, and screams pierced the air. Marcus grabbed Martha, mounting a horse as warriors countered with arrows and stolen rifles. "Ride," he yelled, spurring the animal into the night. They fled with a small group, pursued through canyons and deserts. The chase was relentless, ambushes claimed companions, hunger gnawed, and water was scarce. In one close call, Black Wolf, seeking redemption, rejoined them. He held off a patrol, his war cry echoing as he fell, buying them time. Martha's respect for him softened her earlier anger. In a hidden cave, Marcus and Martha caught their breath, his arm around her. "If caught, say I force you," he whispered. "They hang me." "No," she said, clutching his hand. "We're in this together." Their escape continued, dodging patrols, surviving on mesquite beans and small game. Thorne's voice echoed through valleys, "I'll have your scalp, Redhawk." Martha's fear turned to resolve. She was no longer the frightened widow but a woman forged by the wild. The final standoff came at a river ford, the water churning red with dawn. Thorne's troops surrounded them, their blue coats stark against the rock. "The woman is mine to rescue," Thorne growled, his saber gleaming. Martha stepped forward, pistol in hand. "I'm no captive. This is my choice." The battle erupted. Marcus fought like a demon, his tomahawk felling 2 soldiers. Martha fired, her bullet grazing Thorne's arm. Enraged, he charged, saber raised. Marcus met him, steel clashing with bone-jarring force. A gunshot, Thorne's, pierced Marcus's shoulder, but Martha's next shot found the captain's chest. He crumpled, lifeless. The remaining soldiers, leaderless, retreated into the haze. Bloodied but alive, Marcus slumped against a rock. "Go, east." "Live," he gasped. Tears streamed down Martha's face. "No. I choose you. We survive together." She bound his wound with strips of her dress, and they pressed south, crossing into Mexico where Apache kin dwelled in peace. There, in a hidden village, they built a new life. Martha mastered the language, her Boston accent fading. She bore 2 children. A boy with Marcus's fierce eyes, a girl with her stubborn spirit. Marcus traded furs, told stories of the old ways, and became a leader, negotiating with local tribes for peace. Years passed, the frontier changing with railroads and towns. In 1915, Martha, now 40, sat with Marcus under a Mexican sunset, their children playing nearby. Her hair was streaked with gray, his face lined but still handsome. "Do you regret it?" she asked, her hand in his. "Never," he replied, kissing her. "You are my thunder, my heart." Their love, born in storm and fire, had endured, a testament that sometimes, captivity leads to the truest freedom. Martha Sullivan became Martha Redhawk, no longer a prisoner of circumstance but a woman reborn, her heart bound to the wild frontier and the man who had saved her, only to be saved by her in return.